everyone and welcome along. I'm so glad that you've been enjoying painting birds as much as I love to. So today we're going to have a go at a beautiful waxwing on a branch of berries. It's quite a sight to behold. So grab your paints and let's get started. Right then, so another bird and we're going to begin it in the same way we always do by breaking down the shapes. So the pose I'm going to do is it's going to be eating a berry off a branch, so I'm going to have it sort of reaching up almost, so egg shape for the body, and then usually we do a little overlap shape. Well, the waxwing has a longer neck, so what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to elongate the shape. It's quite a sort of thick neck, and then I'm going to get an oval like that, and from there I'm going to have the beak open, so and then we're going to get the amazing kind of plumage off the back of the head. And from the oval we actually get the line of the eye, which is rather clever. Waxwings have got amazing markings. And just like my favourite, the nuthatch, they've got what my friend Roz describes as this eyeliner that goes all along around the eye. So there we have our open-beaked waxwing, and we're going to have a little berry that's going to fly into the mouth. And then down to the body, so here we've got the shoulder that we can get our wings. Just pointing, and they're razor sharp points at the end there. And then coming down the body, let's get the tail feathers. I tell you what, I am so pleased with this bird drawing technique. I really think it's quite fail-safe. Now we'll get another little wing just sort of from behind the body. And then we'll have the little branch with some berries on, and a few up there as well. But I'm going to now put in the legs, and now the legs come really far back, don't they? So we're going to have one like that, and one sort of anchoring the bird like that. Now the waxwing, aptly named, is so smooth in terms of the texture of the bird. It's not going to be quite like how we've painted birds in the past where we've put in lots of tiny little feather details. We can paint this one quite quickly, quite swiftly, which is what we like. So I'm just going to lightly rub out the pencil, so we've just got a really nice fine line, faint line here. I will pop in a few more berries. There we go. I think that's nice. Great. Okay, so we'll lightly rub out the pencil, but of course, if you want to, you can pause the video, do a screen grab, and there you've got your line drawing to download. So the aim is we're going to paint this quite smoothly, and the waxwing requires lots of the warm earthy colours. So I've got yellow ochre, buff titanium and raw umber, which are going to make up the main body of the bird. I've got a size 4 brush, and I'm going to begin by painting in a buff titanium wash sort of on the sort of centre of the body of the bird, and we'll just go into the tail feather there, but we're leaving the wings fairly untouched. Going to get a bit of yellow ochre and start to bring that in a little bit. I'm still sort of avoiding the wings, just sort of going around them for now. My colours are quite dilute and I'm just letting them all blend. So even though I'm not doing proper textured feather strokes, I am making sure that my brush strokes are sort of following the line of the body of the bird. Okay, time for some raw umber. Very much sticking to the edges of the body now, and you can really help sort of define the outer sort of silhouette of the shape. I'm just going to fade that down. That's looking nice. Okay, so now I'm going to take raw umber again and I'm going to begin to focus on the wing. So that body's dried just so it will softly sit there and blend, but not too much. Now I've got some moon glow here, which if I mix in with a little bit of burnt sienna, we get a lovely, it's a rich grey colour, and I'm going to start to bring that in on the wing. And you can see I'm just starting to leave one or two little bits of unpainted space, because we're going to start moving down the wing where there are actually some more defined sections of colour. So I'm checking out a reference photo to make sure that I start to actually follow the line of what's going on. So a little bit of Mars Black, and I'm going to start to do some little sweeps of colour, and then right to the end of the wing along the bottom there, and I am going to sort of leave a little bit of unpainted space there and then paint in some more lines like that. And that's the thing, like, bird painting does not have to be super duper long-winded and complex. You can just be really sort of feeling the expressiveness of these wings and these birds. And if you are in the Devon area in March, I have got a brand new introduction to watercolour bird painting workshop at the Albatross, which is aptly named, isn't it? A really cool venue down in Totnes in Devon, where I'll be teaching a full day watercolour class all about bird painting. So if you are in Devon and fancy that, in March, Sunday the 17th of March, you can find out all the info in the link below in the episode notes. So now I'm taking some of that black and just getting the throat painted in, just still quite dilute, and then I'm cleaning off my brush and just sort of blending it in a fraction. There we go, not too much, not overworking it. It's that sort of fine balance of making sure that you're getting a smooth blend but not going too far. Okay, I'm going to take some yellow, cadmium yellow, and I am going to paint in this amazing yellow on the wings in little marks like that, and a bit of yellow on the tail. I'm now going to get some cadmium red, because there's also a lovely little splash of red on the wings as well. Okay, we'll leave the wings for a moment and we'll focus underneath here. So a little bit of this darkness again, sweeping down into the yellow there and just adding a little tip. And then we need something a little warmer, so I'm going to take a bit of cadmium red, cadmium orange, mix those two together because there's a lovely sort of orangey red under feathers, under the tail feathers. Really is the most stunning bird. So we're getting there. We just need to place in the little plumage on top. So I'm going to start with some raw umber up at the beak. There's my base colour, and blend it out so it lightens up as it blends out. And a little bit of burnt sienna in at the front there. And just with a very dilute brush, just a little bit of extra in there. And in fact, I think a bit of burnt sienna under the tail. Ah, yeah, that's it. Lovely. Sometimes you're just hunting for the colour and you can't quite work out what it is. Right, bit of buff titanium mixed in with the tiniest bit of that shadowy colour on your palette, and we're just going to add some sort of tufty texture to where our legs are going to protrude. It's probably the only bit of really fluffy texture that we need to add on to our waxwing because he's so smooth. Right. I'm going to put in a bit more detail on the beak now, so I'm going to use this dark moon glow colour here, and I'm still using my size 0 brush quite happily, and I'm just going to outline the bottom of the beak there but then darken the end until it comes into contact with the throat there. And then the top of the beak is dark. But always allow even your dark colours to start off fairly dilute, because then you can add to them, you can add depth, but it's hard to take away. I'm now going to take some ivory black and add that little sort of nostril bump and come down into this wonderful eyeliner. Going round the eye itself. It's just a tiny bit underneath. Really pleased with that. It looks a bit like a burglar, but that is the look. Okay, so starting to add a bit more depth to the wings. Got some pure black, and I'm just going to add some more concentrated colour to the sweep of the wings. I quite like if it dry brushes as well. I think that looks quite cool. And then a little bit of black in and amongst those yellow marks just to really bring them out. A bit of black on the tail. Just a few streaks like that and it's looking great. Okay, let's get the legs painted in. I think Moonglow is really good to get the sort of knobbly legs. So I've just done little dashes like down the legs, and now if I carefully smooth them down, just either side, it means that some of the dashes get caught, some of them don't, and we end up with a lovely sort of textured, gnarly leg there. You don't always see every single talon, but that looks pretty good. And then I'll just use something a little darker in my palette. I just had some black there to just add a few extra knobbles. Okay, we're going to just let that dry and then we'll paint in our berries and the last little details. So I'm going to paint in some berries first with some cadmium red and my size 0 brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin by just outlining that circle, then clean off the brush and just draw in the colour. If you've got ones that are sort of overlapping next to each other, let the first one dry a bit before you paint its neighbour, so find one that's off somewhere else. So drawing in this colour with a clean wet brush means that you can get a nice bit of shine on the berry. And then once it's had a little bit of time to dry, just a little bit, get some alizarin crimson and just add that low light in, and you get yourself a lovely rounded juicy berry. I find it very satisfying painting those berries. Right, so I've got some burnt sienna now, and I am going to just use my, again, just a size 0 brush, don't need it to be much thinner than that, to paint in the little bud branches. If you want, you could even do 1 or 2 little thin parallel lines to get a tiny bit of highlight, and then I'm going to add a bit of low light with a few little knobbles of this shadowy moon glow and burnt sienna mix we had in there earlier. And actually that is going to sort of contribute to the rest of the branch. Got a little bit of that on there, and I want the branch to be quite knobbly like that, and then a bit of raw umber. What we'll do is once we've got the branches painted in, we can then establish which bit of the feet we see. But I think a larger brush would be wise at this point, so let's go for a size 2. Yeah, look at that, much easier. Dab that in whilst it's still wet, and of course there is an extra bit of branch. Lovely. Okay, so the last few bits are to get just that eye painted in. So I'm looking closely and I can see there's a little bit of like a burnt sienna almost lid over the top like that, and then underneath there's a little white dash. So if I take some black like that, and then if I'm very careful, just with a clean wet brush, I can just close that down a tiny bit, and I'm pleased with that. lovely. I feel like the legs want a little bit more detail, so I've got some more moon glow, quite strong moon glow this time, quite concentrated. And a few more sort of tufts around the tail feathers, not the tail feathers, around the legs. And I think I can sort of decide that I can see the backs of the feet rather than the fronts. So if I get a little bit of Mars black, and just helps sort of define that, then you can see a little bit more. Now we're very nearly done, but what I want to do is just get a little bit more lasting detail on the berries. So a bit of Payne's grey, and I just want to put a little sort of dimple in the bottom there. And there we have our waxwing on a branch. So we just want to let that dry 100%, rub out the pencil and see what we got left. And there you have your waxwing on a branch, and just a light rub out of the pencil just really lifts it off the page and gets rid of those last little stubborn bits. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, if you have really enjoyed doing the bird painting with me and just a little bit more of this seasonal nature painting, then you can find loads more birds and animals and all sorts of things. There we go, nuthatch, another of my favourites with the eyeliner, in my latest book, A Year of Watercolour, and you can get signed copies from me in my Etsy shop and website shop, the only place you can get signed copies from. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed that one. I really did. So yeah, show me your paintings on Instagram, tag me at Winton Paper Co, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.